Yeah. Whew, just getting here. Hello, Joe. Hello again. Tina, nice to see you. It's been a while. You get my little spiritual shawl on. Hi, Karen. Welcome. The light is bright. This is a big, it's actually a sliding glass door window. And it is quite bright. Thank you. It's Hare Krishna, actually, this. It says Hare Krishna in Hindi or whatever. Got it in at Michael Singer's, my trip to Michael Singer, actually. We'll see if this light helps. So yeah, my client bought it for me because it's pink. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Christine. Hi, Rose. Oh, interesting, Tina. Yeah, moving usually indicates, especially if it's longer distances, something going on in life. Okay. So, hi, Brooklyn. Yes. Pink glasses, etc. So, yeah, life occurs, doesn't it? Life happens, life occurs. Never say never. One of my clients posted a funny thing. It said, they said never, but then there they go, nevering again, or something. Yeah. So it is what it is. Is there anybody new here to me, to Insight Timer, to Insight Timer Lives, to Michael Singer? Anything like that? If you care to share before we dive into what we're up to today. Ooh, awesome, Brooklyn. Hi, Stace, new to live streams. Hi, Carolyn. Yay, Michael Singer time. J.E., welcome. Yes, good early morning to New Zealand, Joe. Ooh, hello, Wasp. I'll just keep an eye on that. Yeah, so if you are new to me, I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach and Reiki Master Teacher, Insight Timer teacher, almost 4 years, and I'm coming up on 4,000 followers for 4 years. I've got a number of meditations here in the app, free and premium. Please check those out. I get many plays every month, many wonderful reviews on the meditations. Yeah, and I host various live streams. So hello, Allie. Thank you, Carolyn. This is a live stream series called The Surrender Circle because we're discussing Michael Singer's teachings. Allie, are you familiar with Michael Singer? Is that what you mean about liking the topic? And does anybody not know who Michael Singer is? You can follow me here on Insight Timer. You can give a donation if you'd like. Please follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, here, everywhere. And yeah, I go live a couple times a week. We do Michael Singer talks. We do, I I just started the Way of Mastery teachings, which I'm so excited about. And my longest running live stream series, which is now on Sunday mornings because I'm on this side of the world, is called, Saturday Night Live, Sunday Morning Live. We do tarot cards, a collective reading. We do Reiki and Ancestral Clearing. And I offer all of those services one-on-one as well as spiritual life coaching. So totally. Hi, Gail. So Michael Singer is a spiritual teacher who wrote this book, Untethered Soul. Well, he wrote 3, and he's most known for this one. So does that bring an aha to anybody? And he also has his memoir, The Surrender Experiment and Living Untethered, his newest book. So he's written these. His life is amazing. I would definitely, read these books. And what's most inspiring? Well, there's a couple things, but what's really inspiring about Michael Singer for me and many is that he's retired now, but he was like a CEO in a traditional company, or like on the board of directors of actually $1 billion company, WebMD, or the company that owns and manages that, or did, 15 years ago or 20 years ago. So he is a perfect example, an irrefutable example of somebody that deeply lives spiritual teachings and was deeply immersed in the 3D world and the corporate world. So, that example is so powerful because it's like, our minds will say, oh, well, I can't, be spiritual, or I can't do this or that because, oh, my 9-to-5 job, or, oh, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, that is not true. We can practice our spirituality. We can come to enlightenment at our day job. And he is a very powerful testament to that. So his story is amazing. And now he's retired. He's getting old. I mean, he's in his late 70s now. I met him in November, which is a highlight for me. And, he's getting old. And he's still very vital, as you will hear. So what we're going to do is listen to one of his talks. And he's very vital. And, yeah, he's also retired and getting older. So he also has card decks. So this is Untethered Soul card deck. He signed mine. And so I love to draw a card from this, to bring his voice in. Sometimes I do this with my coaching clients as well. It's like, let's see what Mickey has to say today for us. So we will do that right now and see what Mickey has to say. And then we're going to continue. I'm pretty sure we are continuing the talk that we were listening to before. So if you're new, if you've never been with me or heard of this guy or anything, just trust you're getting the message at the perfect time and you'll hear what you need to hear. So don't worry, and it's very, very accessible. He's very down to earth in his teachings. And he's what I call spiritual tough love. Yeah. He'll say, because people come from all over the world to his center in Florida where he lives, and that's where I met him. And he's like, you don't want to be talking to me and asking for advice, because all I'm gonna say, if you come and say, oh, my partner broke up with me and I'm heartbroken, I'm gonna say, how do you know your heart hurts? How do you know? That's all he's gonna say. So he doesn't coddle. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, Varsha, he has this deck. He has a Living Untethered deck. So this is Awakening Consciousness. He has different, I think they're the chapters of the book. And we've gotten this message before, and it's very powerful. So True personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. True personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. So and then like there it is, right? There's a bit of spiritual tough love, if you will. So yeah. So if you follow me on YouTube, these videos are uploaded there. And also, I have playlists. So I have a Michael Singer live stream playlist if you like the talk today and you want to hear, the rest of it. And I also have just a playlist of the talks. So any of the talks I've covered in these lives, if you go to like the his talk playlist, you can find like just the whole talk, the link to that. So you can do that as well. So I get to find where we are because I did not do that before the session. So how this works is, okay, yeah. So we're like a quarter of the way through a talk entitled, "You Are Transcended to This World." So, yeah, let me pull it up and we'll dive in. So we'll listen and then we'll stop and we'll ask questions and discuss. And yeah, if you want the link and you don't want to go to my channel, just send me a private message. I can send it to you. Okay.
Morning and every single evening.
Oh yeah, this one's got a little background music that's nice. So I'm just gonna rewind it just a bit. And yeah, so just, I always invite people to use this space as a place to center, as a place to be present, as a place to pay attention, be mindful, because, even more and more nowadays, we are distracted. Our attention is never, one pointed. So I invite you to do that, is to, just take this in without scrolling elsewhere, things like that, so that you can practice mindfulness and presence, and the message will land deeper. And it's like even a form of self-respect, respect for the moment, for all of us here. So an invitation, if you choose. So let's see. Okay. All right, here we go.
You have to wake up within yourself and realize life is supposed to be beautiful. Life is a beautiful experience. It's not a struggle, because you're just willing to have the experience of your life, whatever it is. And if you're willing to have it, it has a beauty to it. It's teaching you things. It's challenging. It's just a beautiful experience. If you're not willing to have it, if you've taken the opinion that life is supposed to be what I made up this model of how things should be, that's how it's supposed to be, you're in big trouble. You just went to war with reality. So again, let's move on. What can you do about it? You can put aside some time every single morning and every single evening. Doesn't be a lot, doesn't take much time. And you sit yourself down and you notice that your mind, if left to its own, is not doing any favors. That your mind is weaving this thing. It's almost as if, and I say almost as if in quotes because it is this way, that the things that happened before didn't get digested by you. They didn't finish. They got stuck in there. And because they're stuck in there, they're trying to get out. It's uncomfortable. So they try to leak out through your mind, and they try to leak out through your heart. These energies try to release. And so your mind is always talking about something. Has anybody noticed that? It's very funny. It's always talking about something. You're not telling it to. You don't even decide what it talks about. It just talks. It just starts talking about all kinds of things. And it talks about the thing it talked about. And next thing you know, you're not even living your life. You're living your mind. You're paying attention to this noise that's coming up from your mind. Now get it straight. I have nothing against the mind. I love the human mind. It's the most brilliant thing in the world. I like to study Einstein. I like all this stuff. It's beautiful. It's the personal mind that I'm talking about. What does that mean, the personal mind? I have personally picked up a whole boatload worth of impressions from my past. They're mine, not yours. Mine are totally different. Yours are totally different. From everybody, from your husbands, from your wives, everything. They're totally different than the ones you picked up. They didn't sit well. It was like a bad dinner. So now I have indigestion. And so the mind is attempting to release those energies. So if I see a tree, it reminds me of the tree I fell off of when I was 6. And then it reminds me of going to the hospital. Next thing I know, I'm depressed. Because I saw a tree. That's what's going on. This stuff is trying to release. And so everything is reminding you. Or I see something and it reminds me of a really good time I had when I was young. And I start feeling, wow, why can't I have more times like that? Because I got this family around me. And next thing you know, you're having a midlife crisis. All right? The mind is trying to release the stuff that didn't get processed inside. It's very, very simple. In yoga, we call those impressions samskaras. That's the Sanskrit name for those impressions. They're samskaras. And they're stuck inside, and they leak out through the mind. The mind is trying to release the energy that didn't get finished. And it's not just the mind, the heart does it too. You know that. All of a sudden, your heart starts to hurt. You were feeling fine, but a car drove by, and it reminded you when your boyfriend broke up when you were 12. And all of a sudden, you have this pain coming out of your heart. Anybody know anything about that? Do you really want to live like that? Because that's what's going to happen, like I said. So basically, you start to realize that that's the personal mind. Not the intellectual mind, not the analytical mind. The personal mind. The one that's always talking, always judging, always wanting, needing, complaining. It's just weaving a story about how it's supposed to be according to you. That's the personal mind. Anybody got one? All right. What you do is you wake up and realize it is not your friend. It's not your enemy, but it's not your friend. It's not going to take you anywhere you want to go. All it's going to do is say, there's all these things that bothered me before. I don't want them to happen again. Figure out how to manipulate everyone around you so that they don't happen again. What kind of life is that for you or for anybody else? And plus, you will never succeed. Or, I had something happen before. I wish this would happen or that would happen, and start weaving all this made-up stuff and then getting upset because it's not happening. So instead, you spend this 15 minutes in the morning and evening, and you notice that your mind is doing this. That's the first step. You notice that no matter how much I talk about it, I could not exaggerate how big the problem is. You can't live your life because you're caught in your mind. The mind is busy making up an alternate life and judging the one that's actually happening. And while you're doing that, what kind of life is that? It's not comfortable at all. It's scary.
We'll stop there for a minute. He just said something. Basically, we're identified with the personal mind that's making up all these stories about how we want reality to be, and it's making up an alternate reality in our heads. And then we suffer. So it's like we're not even experiencing reality. I mean, nobody's ever really seen another person. Nobody has truly seen anyone else. We have only seen the projection, our projection of that person. And it's unique to us. So like even everyone here that's hearing me, if there's 40 meditators here right now, you are seeing 40 different versions of me. And then I have my own version of who I think I am. And everyone's is different because everybody's different. Everybody's grown up with different experiences and different upbringings. So just as we are all unique, our perceptions and projections are all unique. Yes. Conditioning. We're not fully present. So it's the journey of disidentifying from the personal mind, as he calls it. And we can start doing that by what he was just saying, sitting 15 minutes in the morning and evening and noticing what's going on is the first step. Noticing all this. Hi, Elena. Hi, Kiara. So this is Michael Singer, like the title of the live stream. So that's who you're hearing. Hi, Madeline. Hi, Sandy. Same as a distraction. What's the same as a distraction? You know, in the very beginning, when I just started the recording, he was saying something about, you know, basically there's an outside world happening, like, and it's just happening regardless of what we think about it. And the problem is we argue with that. We want things to be a certain way or not be a certain way, and then we suffer. Yeah, it's totally distraction, Carolyn. Because it's not presence. If we are more internally focused on the stream of thinking, we're not here in our literal surroundings. And this is what practicing mindfulness gives us, which we can do in meditation, and also it can be a moment by moment practice. Byron Katie says, when we argue with reality, we lose, but only 100% of the time. And, you know, there's a lot to argue with in reality right now, right? Always. Totally, Varsha. Great summary of what the concept is. So, you know, his book's called The Surrender Experiment. So that's what his premise is and what his experiment has been with his life, is to experiment with just surrendering to everything and making choices not from a place of clinging or grasping or neediness or attachment. So letting go of that personal self and then making choices. So there's many layers to the things he teaches, and if you listen to him or read his books and you listen a while, it will start sinking and you'll hear the same themes over and over, which is good because it's reprogramming. We need that. Or I need that. I'll just speak for myself. So, hi Sharon. Anything before we continue? All right, we'll jump back in. And if you're just joining, just go with the flow. It's all perfect.
So you start watching that. And that's the first step, is you put aside the time. The second step is you be willing to watch instead of get involved. And that's not easy. I'd like you to learn that. The minute it starts talking, you're gone. It's cute. You're not there anymore. I thought you were going to meditate. I thought you were going to sit there. Well, I was, and then I started thinking about the, and then 15 minutes went by. That's okay. Even if that's what happens, and you say to me, I tried, but it doesn't work. I said, what happened? My mind just started talking. The next thing I know, it wasn't there, and I tried to come back, and then I got lost again, then I came back, then I got lost again. I'm going to sit there and say, well, that's wonderful. What do you mean it's not working? That's wonderful. You actually realized that you are not your mind. You wanted to be quiet, but it kept talking, and you also got sucked into it. And then you came back. In other words, you actually spent time being you. Yes, you got lost in the mind, but you were aware that you got lost in the mind. So believe it or not, that is actually a decent meditation. There's nothing wrong with that. During the day, you're not noticing that your mind won't shut up, that's driving you crazy, that it's causing all kinds of trouble. You're busy being it. You're just doing whatever it says. Whatever it says. If it says, I like it, you run after it. I don't like it, run away from it. But at least during those 15 minutes, your idea was to sit there. Literally, this is how I teach it. Because I don't teach meditation. That's the closest I'm going to come. All right? You sit there and try and not get involved in what your mind is saying. Don't try to stop your mind. It's not a matter of fighting with your mind. Never fight with your mind. It doesn't work out for anybody, you or your mind or anybody else. The mind has the right to try to release the energies that are stuck inside of you. Just like your body creates white blood cells, T cells, to try and get rid of bacteria and so on. That's its job. It's trying to do something for you.
That's really profound. He says, your mind has a right to be the way it is because it's trying to cleanse, basically, because we, with our will, have pushed away experiences, pushed down feelings, or clung to feelings and experiences. So it's almost like, wow, giving the mind like kind of grace and space and understanding, and knowing that like we're the ones that did it, because he's big on that too. Like, you did it, nobody else did this. Yes, so what he's saying is, just like the body has an immune system to cleanse and heal, all the garbage thinking is the mind trying to cleanse and heal the samskaras that we have put there by resisting or clinging to life and experiences. Yes, energy is never created or destroyed. So how that works is, something happens in your outer world and you don't like it. Your mind has an opinion about it. So, and then you feel a certain way because of the thing, or you think a thought about a thing and then you feel a certain way, and it doesn't feel pleasant. It feels shitty, you know. So we don't want to feel it. It's natural. There's a constriction, there's a contraction, there's an anxiety, there's a heat, there's an anger. You know, you can label it as emotions or you can label it as energy. We don't like it. It's not pleasant, it's not comfortable to feel these energies. We want it to go away as fast as possible. So he says we have internal hands that we push things away and we push things down with our internal hands. Can anybody relate to that? And so when we push it down, it doesn't disappear. It's still here. So especially the older you get, the pile of shit inside grows and grows. And you know what's interesting, and this is just my own thought of, like, when you see more older people, it's like you can see the lifetime on their face of like their mood and their energy. And it's like imagining, like, if somebody, like, I think of my grandmother, she was not a happy person. We'll just say it like that. So can you imagine the samskaras, they just keep growing and growing the bigger we get or older we get. And it's just like we're walking around pushing this mountain down, and then it's like, old people get set in their ways and they want things exactly this certain way. Well, it makes sense because there's so much energy here. Like, you just touch the littlest. I mean, I can say this from my own experience of being the oldest age I've ever been. And I'm not 20 anymore. So yeah, it's like, which is good. It's good when the trigger occurs. It's good that we get more sensitive. Michael Singer says, throw it a party. If your stuff gets hit, and this is a huge paradigm shift, celebrate it, welcome it, throw it a party. Oh, my mom yelled at me. And not like getting into the mechanics of the yelling or whatever, but like whatever the event is and it brings up, throw that a party. Because we want to just push it back down. And especially if it's those fundamental relationships like parents and family. So Rose, good question. Carolyn, I would say, would be a person that would know about dreams, nightmares. That's interesting, Rose, because I had a nightmare this morning. That never happens. Like, I had a nightmare to where I woke up very disturbed, and yeah, and I was like crying, and just, it was horrible in the dream. So Varsha, is meditating also pushing the mind or thoughts away? No. Great question. Not at all. It's actually the opposite. And if you learn and experience Michael Singer's teachings more and more, you will get that very deeply, because his thing is surrender. His thing is letting go. So it's about noticing and celebrating when you notice you're lost in thought, and then bringing yourself back to presence. Gail, you got cancer this year. Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's so many dynamics at play with our bodies and how things occur. Rose been having recurring nightmares for a month. Okay. That's quite, like, sudden. So you don't have to say, but I would, and maybe you have, like, I would reflect on, what happened around that time a month ago, that could have created or initiated it. Hi, Duchess. You had a nightmare, and who knows, maybe this, do you hear the horse clomping? And the motorbike? I live on a cobblestone street. I love when the horses go by. I mean, I'm in Mexico. Mexicans, there's many Mexicans with horses. So, yeah, Sandy, every full moon we can let go. Yes, I live in Mexico. So, great question, Andrea. How to process the thoughts. Michael Singer, I would imagine, may say something like, you don't process them. He has said this before in one of his talks, and I love it because it's like a spiritual tough love thing, and you've probably heard me say it, Andrea. So say, something triggers you, if it's external or a memory or a worry, whatever, and your stuff gets hit. So he says the minute you notice that you come into presence, you come out of the mind. It takes will and practice, and it's possible, and it takes will and practice to not let your mind get tangled up and latched in and gnaw into the thoughts. And it's so compelling. We're addicted. Our mind is addicted to the thoughts. We have neural pathways, especially if it's an old thing like a family or something. There are lots of pathways, and there's, a hit of chemicals that happen with that thought pattern. And our mind and body we get addicted to that. It's a chemical cascade that occurs. It's like when people gossip, there's like this energy. It's not great, but there's like a hit. There's a, and that's like chemical too. So when the trigger occurs, we've got to come out of our thinking to the best of our ability and drop into the heart. Because this is where the main issue is. And like I said earlier, the mind is trying to cleanse because there's all this shit in here. So it's shit thoughts. Michael says he feels sorry for the mind, So do your best to come into full presence, breathing, relaxing the body. And just, you've got to take control and be sovereign and not let the mind just do the old patterns and habits of gnawing into that topic and gnawing into the story. And sometimes I'll be like, look around the room. Okay, I am here, like body on the floor. What can I hear? What can I see? What can I smell? Like orient into the body directly. And then you just be with the heart, whatever the heart is doing, however it is emoting or experiencing whatever is experiencing. It needs your full presence your full presence transmutes that stuck energy. We pushed it away originally and then over and over or whatever, and things built up. So we're really just giving it the respect and presence and really love to allow that to feel to move through. Because what happens is, like, life is living us. Each moment, if we resist the moment or cling to the moment, it doesn't move through. And optimally, we are clear channels where experiences just occur and we just let it move through. And Michael Singer says, the white lines on the road, like we have unless you've had something happen around white lines on the road, you have no energy or thought about it. So he's like 98% of the world just moves on through you. But then there's, the 2% that we cling to, that we have experiences with. So he says, like, we haven't honored life. We haven't honored the moment because we pushed it away or tried to capture it and keep it. And so we get to give that energy, like the honor of our presence, because we didn't do it before, and we don't get into shame or blame about it. But so that's why, throw it a party. And he says something like he remembers, like, when this started to shift for him in his life. I think this is in his surrender experiment. Like, he got triggered by something and he had the thought, wow, like this is my chance to let this move through me. Like maybe I won't get this chance again with this particular samskara or this particular energy. Like I want to make sure to give this my full presence and attention so it can move through me. So one thing he says too is, you know, when we're working on coming out of that compelling nature of wanting to like process or be or think more or be mad or have, you know, just be in the mind about our thinking, he says something like, you know, well, what does the mind think? And he's like, none of your business. None of your business. It's none of your business what the mind is thinking. And that has helped me too. It's none of my business. It's not important. It's none of my business, whatever it's thinking in this moment. And then the other part of that is it's like, because so it happens, and so we're working with it, and it's like, oh, okay, like I'm relaxing and releasing. I'm not in my thoughts too much. I'm in my heart. I'm present. I'm feeling it. How long do I have to do this for? How long is it going to take before this cycles? How long until I feel better? And he says, none of your business. It's one of my favorite things. None of your business. It's none of your business how long it takes to be in this process. It's none of your business what the mind's thinking. It's none of your business how long it takes for the heart to transmute. Your business is that you be fully and completely present with the experience, period. And, you know, this is not easy. So this is why he says, don't start with your childhood trauma. Start with what he calls low-hanging fruit. Start with the driver that pulled out in front of you. Start with you're waiting in the long line and you picked the wrong line, but now it's too late to change lines in the grocery. And you feel something arising. You practice there. He says you don't need to dredge up your old stuff. He said as you work with these low-hanging fruits, naturally, then you process some things, so then the deeper stuff will just naturally come up, and everybody's process is going to be different, and it's going to, you know, so you just trust it. So if you've started doing this work and then out of nowhere, you know, this old memory comes and then the accompanying thoughts and emotions, then you have some practice, and you can trust that came up because it was time, and to not resist it and not judge and not wonder why is this happening, but to be like, okay, this is time. It's time for this. I don't even need to know why because that's the mind. Sandy, gossip comes from go sip tea. I never knew that. That's very interesting. Thanks, Madeline, for the quotes. So, any questions, comments on that? Hi, Jeff. If you're joining in and you haven't already, don't forget to follow me here. Give a donation if you'd like. If you want to follow me more, you can on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, my website. If you want to know what it's like to work together one-on-one, or, you know, have different services, you can find out all that if you would like. Awesome, Andrea. So that was a lot. So we're going to pause it here for the day, because, yeah, we covered so much. Yeah. Let me read his quote again. And this will land deeper now that we've had this discussion. So tell me if you have any like extra ahas or understandings of this quote now, if you heard it before. True personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. True personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. So we talked about how to transcend it, right? And that is personal growth. You are growing. You are not allowing yourself to just collapse into old habits. You are being intentional. He has other talks, and we've probably done some of them or one of them, of like the discipline. We need to cultivate the discipline to do this, and we need to have the commitment. And the spiritual teachings I follow all say that. There must be a commitment, because it's not fucking easy. And is it worth it? Hell yes. Hi, Jessica. Did I say hi already? Thank you all. And before we close, I thought of this earlier, just like on a personal note. And also, I know there's at least one person here, likely more, that will can identify. And tomorrow is the day of 26 years ago that I got clean and sober. So it's a very special and important day for me. And y'all are special and important. And I'll see y'all on Sunday. So I'll probably maybe mention it then. But yeah, I am very different than I was 26 years ago. And what's interesting, so I had a session today, a coaching session, a visioning session with the youngest person I've ever had the privilege of sitting with before in my coaching. This person turned 21 last week. I've never coached or, been in that space with somebody that young. And it was a referral from her mother, who I also have coached. So, but I got sober at 22 years old. So I was, just because this person is 21, I was just thinking about, and then because of my sobriety date, like, wow, I was like only a year older than this person when I got sober. I was so freaking young. And this person that I sat with today, like, she is so freaking evolved. Like, I'm like, she is lifetimes ahead of where I was, even though I was getting sober at 22. But I was just, it gave me faith in humanity, because I do believe it, that, we're raising the consciousness of the planet, and we're up leveling, and it's happening. And I'm like, wow, to see this 21-year-old, like, she could be in this discussion. Like, she was talking about self-love and working with forgiving herself, and, like, just all the stuff that I talk about all the time and coach people with. And I mean, I didn't lead her into it. She just started sharing, and like, that's where she was at. I was just like, I have faith. I have hope. Like, this girl is totally, old soul. Yeah, so that was very fun. So thank you all for the congrats. Nina, thank you. Stace, another friend of Bill. Woo woo. Yeah, thank you all. So I will see y'all. Please join, if if you've been there a million times, or if this is your first time, or whatever, anything in between. But come for Saturday night. It's Sunday morning live now. And let me make sure I scheduled it. I'm sure I did. Yes. Okay. Yep. 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll be doing a collective group card reading, which is so fun. I have my wonderful desk here with all of my wonderful woo-woo stuff, and I've got 4 or 5 card decks, and so we'll dive into the cards, and then we'll close with Reiki and Ancestral Clearing. If you all want to, one of my most popular meditation tracks is the Master Prayer, which is a powerful ancestral clearing prayer you can listen to here on Insight Timers. So, much love. I will see you all soon. Thank you for joining. Namaste.